you and I talked a while back, a few months ago, and you had said, you were excited about the idea of talking about efficiency.
Yeah.
And I know that this is something that you get pretty excited about. Why is that?
I do.
It's funny because you almost look embarrassed about your enthusiasm over it.
No. Efficiency. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I get excited about it. I think it's a skill set that I always love to challenge myself, getting better with it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes to say that they are efficient, right? Oh, I'm efficient. And it's like, well, what does that word really mean? And obviously this is a good definition of it. But when I read it, I feel really challenged by it.
Mm.
And then I feel like a fraud, right? Because when it talks about the best use of your time and eliminating waste and just doing what matters and not burning yourself out, I'm looking at that going, well, I sure have a lot to learn, in my practices and stuff. So I just think that, man, that's a goal of mine. I want to be more efficient, but realizing that I'm not a good example of it. Most of the time.
It's funny because as you were saying that, it got me to thinking that there are aspects of my life that I'm like, this needs to be efficient. And then there's other aspects of my life where I'm like, I'm wildly inefficient and I don't care.
I don't want it to be efficient.
Yeah.
Why don't you want it to be efficient? That's the thing.
Like I would think that somebody that practices guitar because they love playing guitar, or even cooking or something like that. Like they're like, I'm not trying to be efficient. And if I tried to jam efficiency into it, it would suck some of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Now,
100%.
At work, though, you what if you were different? What if you were like, I love what we do. And maybe it's not so utilitarian.
Yeah.
I love the game.
But let me ask you though, is that what efficiency means to you? Is doing the basics to get by and not having the love and the fun and the mix of it? Is that what efficiency means? Because if that's what efficiency, if it's strip all the fun out of it and not try to do it the right way, not have a process, just go for it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do when I'm like, you're right, when I'm just fiddling around with the guitar.
Yeah.
And you know this because when you've ever gone to somebody who is like starting to play guitar, or let's say it's not guitar, let's say it's anything else. Maybe it's like
clay.
Anything. Maybe it's studying the Bible even. Okay. Let's say you have a big background on it. So you know everything about what you should be doing. You know the whole pattern of what, right? The framework. You like the word framework.
Yeah.
You have the whole framework of what that person should learn and how they should learn it and what order. But they might just be going, Adam, I'm just learning this myself. I'm just opening it up and doing whatever I'm doing,
No, that's a good point.
Like I'm letting the wind carry me.
Yeah.
Does that mean that's not efficient? I don't know. Maybe if the definition is, maybe it is efficient.
Yeah. No. I think that you got a really good point there. And I think that, when I've read about when I've read about CEOs that have lost their way, right? And they're mailing it in. They're just like the passion's gone. And one of the ways that they get their passion back is through an inefficient means, which is going out there and reconnecting with their customer. They're out there, they go on a 2-day trip where they just visit all of their customers, and they go for a nice long drive, and they realize, man, you know what we do really matters, because they were so focused on solving this frustrating problem of efficiency, for example, that the whole why they got started, the reason why they got started wasn't so that they could be efficient and they could just grind and ram stuff down.
Yeah, exactly.
They found something worth suffering for, and then they wound up like that Alex Hormozy, Tony Robbins interview, where Alex had become so obsessed with screw happiness, I don't care, that his life got to a place where he was like the amount of the amount of effort and energy and money that probably went into a one-on-one with Tony Robbins, it seems like there's some kind of a ratio between value and time.
Yeah, totally.
And
but I just
and
think
that's a lot of words for coming up with
it's a lot.
what I just said.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this could be like a sentence or so.
Yeah.
Because to hit core of what efficiency is. So in businesses, you typically hear the word efficient in operations. That's where in fact, efficiency is a metric in operations, mostly in manufacturing. In business, there's a metric called efficiency, and it lives in manufacturing. And so why is it there? Well, because they do repeatable things. They're building a finished good all the time. The outcome, the clarity is 100%. I'm building a widget. That widget has to be built right, assembled right, picked and packed, quality controlled, and out the door on time, right? Very straightforward process.
Yeah.
So that's where this efficiency comes in, and it's scrutinized very hard. Eliminate the waste, lean out the manufacturing, make it cost the least amount, take the least amount of time, right? So that we can make the most margin and get that out the door, because the customer doesn't care about all the other values and things because you're not jam packing customer value in that. You're making a widget. There it is, right? All the value with the customer was how the widget was sold and supported. Okay. But I think that we could bake efficiency into a lot more things, like what you're talking about, our personal life, learning a new skill, and then in all other aspects. But I feel like when we do that, it's hard for us to understand that efficiency is necessary everywhere, even where we're feeling the art and we're feeling other things. And because if efficiency is all about a goal, a clarity of a goal, and efficiency is about staying and valuing that goal and not letting up on it and doing whatever it takes, but not too much and not a bunch of wasted time and energy in it. Well, that's just simply prioritizing, but not eliminating the things that it takes to move forward and actually hit a goal. You know, building a widget, it's not easy, but it's clear, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyways, that's what I think about that.
Okay. So something that you said in there I thought it was funny because your company has both manufacturing, warehousing, sales, and even some education. And it's funny because as you were talking, I was thinking, well, with respect to manufacturing a press, if you grind on a guy too hard to make presses or whatever, like they may get a bit of an attitude, they may get a little bit edgy, they're still going to crank out the same quality press.
Pretty much.
Now, if you do that to a salesman, like it feels like there's more potential because their mood and their emotions need to be part of the sales process. And if you did that with, leadership staff, that sort of thing, if you lean too hard and try to leverage efficiency too much,
right,
because you can't have, we've all been around and maybe even part of an organization that was wildly sloppy, and it was all about, let's have a big party. And
have you ever heard the term that people are inefficient? Just that? Just people.
People are
in
inefficient?
General.
Oh.
Are inefficient at core. No? You never heard that?
Not worded like that, but I think I know what you're
think about. Okay, think about you with a clear job by yourself. You're going to clean your garage out on a Saturday. You look at the job, you're like, clearly it needs to be organized. I need to throw away the junk. And then you start in your mind, you start thinking, if you're like me, you start thinking, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is this, and then I'm going to do this. And then you plan out the whole 3 or 4 hours, and you're at the end of the day, it looks clean. You finish it off with a broom, and you're like, all right, this is okay. And you might have a couple things that you want to do. Maybe I want to hang the hammers up tomorrow, but more importantly, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Insert 2 more people. All right. So bring 2 more people into that. Your brother comes over and your dad comes over in the morning, and you guys are going to clean your garage out. All right. Instantly, you've become less efficient. Instantly. The second that your other people enter the goal, right? Or wrong? Do you agree with me?
I don't know. My experience in a lot of things is 1 + 1 = 3. Like I get more done.
Maybe
when
sometimes.
When I'm involved.
But let me just give you a scenario. All right, the first thing I think we're gonna get all the trash out first. We're gonna get all the trash out first, and then your brother says, "Well, I was actually thinking that we should," right? So now, doesn't that instantly become less efficient? Instantly.
Well, okay. So one of the things that that I think that your finger is on is that it's when you have more people, it's even more important that you have an agreed plan or somebody's in charge.
But what's clear in your definition, the clarity is harder to understand. What matters is more objective. What the definition of good is, all the results that you're trying to get when you're trying to eliminate the waste, you're trying to be efficient, you're trying to focus on priorities, eliminate waste. Different people have different opinions on what that is. What is waste? What matters, right? I mean, throughout the entire process. And now, cleaning a garage is a pretty simple process. You know, most of the time you can agree that taking the trash out of the garage is eliminating waste, right? We don't need trash. But some people might be they might be very heartbroken if you trash that thing. Oh, that's something I want to keep. I'm trying to fix it up.
You know, I think that one of the things that you're also pointing at is, and we had talked about it at the very beginning, was that one of the factors that's in there is time. And so if you had 3 people in the garage and you said, we got 45 minutes, like, then there would be a real rudimentary plan. Okay, let's do this, and then this, and we'll be able to get this done in 45 minutes. Zig Ziglar, you know, used to make this comment, and this was during the 80s, in his recording. So it was before like people had cell phones and were taking work home with them and that sort of stuff. He made a comment that, you know, he asked the question, what's the most efficient day of your whole year? And the answer is the day before you go on vacation. Because everybody's sitting here like, I can't, my customers are not going to be served if I can't get them all done today. And so you're more efficient. And it's because you've got your priorities. It's almost like an equation, priorities and what's of value over time.
Is it the work expands to the time allotted?
Oh, I think that, and I think that with efficiency, you know, you're taking your priorities and you are referencing them against time.
Correct.
And I think that with respect to like what we're talking about, you know, I think that if you are, it seems like there's a way to leverage it and frame it properly so that if you have employees, like if I've got my employees and they are, I want my salesmen to make a certain number of phone calls, certain number of contacts, certain number of outreaches, but I want them to be quality, right? There has to be this place where, you know, hey, I made 80 outreaches and they were like copy paste, and they look like crap and they get no results. And if I've got to pick between 80 outreaches in a day versus 30 outreaches that actually move the ball forward, I should probably go with 30, you know. And I mean, we can take it to absurd numbers where I need 1,000 outreaches a day, like, and we know, hey, you can't actually do that, right? Or, you know, they can't actually do that. We need to make it so that that we're getting the most value.
Right.
Now, do you think that? Okay, so you got any comments to say on top of that?
No. No. No, thanks for going down that with me.
So you've got a bunch of layers within the organization. You're not reviewing every system weekly, but there's some things that you're monitoring weekly and daily. I know that we've had conversations where you're like, if this number doesn't hit this number by this time of day, then I've got reason to be concerned. If this number doesn't hit this number by by day 15, I've got issues. But they're not the same category. They're not the same thing. And the result would be for you to go and review the system, review like what led to this. Is this something that's within our control? Which means that it could be, that we can do something about this. Or is this something that it's not within our control? The state of the market is what it is, and I can't get out and push and force people to hit the buy button. So I said a lot there, but
no, you did. I mean, I'm thinking about the difference between actions you can control, activities, and the results of things, just the results of things. And clearly, a lot of people like to tie their activities to, well, my activities are so high quality, that's why the results are so good. So I can do two very impressive activities, right? I could do two really good activities. And because I'm so good, and because I also found the right activities, and because they're just the lowest hanging fruit, that's the greatest activities, then my result is so good that day. And there's some people, I think, that will leave a day and they'll say, my result was really good, so I'm good, right? And I think that I like to be a part of an environment that, regardless of the results that are coming out, we still have a decent pressure on more activities and more things to do to add to that momentum of the result. So for instance, I don't know if this is making sense, but like, I don't feel very fulfilled and rewarded if I finish a month and we just happen to hit our goal, right? Our sales goal, let's say. It doesn't make me feel good just because we hit a goal.
Okay.
What makes me feel good is when I can look back on those days and the weeks and how we did things. And if I can say we took advantage of each, opportunity, and we gave it our all, and, we left it on the field, as they say in sports, and the team was working together, and we learned a lot and we grew a lot, and we're now better and more amped up. And then I feel good about the month. So I think when you start looking at efficiency too much, so meaning when you start taking the definition of what you want to do, learn a guitar, run your business, whatever it is, just do your job. When you try to look at it to try to be too efficient and you're trying to focus on the goal too much, I think what that ends up doing is it ends up, one, I just think that you kind of let up on the gas a little bit when the results are good. So like when the economy's doing well, when a new customer starts up randomly, or when a competitor maybe goes under. And so when it's easy, when business is easy, right? Yeah. Let's say you buy a bunch of businesses and you've acquired all the businesses and you're like, oh, our sales are growing. It's like, yeah, of course they are. The environment
your
is
raw numbers.
Huh?
Yeah, your raw numbers.
Yeah, the environment is just that as that is growing. And so if you look at the result and you say, well, look, we're growing, for instance.
Yeah.
That, again, somebody who's focused on only the result may let up on other things. They may say, okay, that means that we're probably good enough. We could stop training. We could stop pressuring certain things. We could stop measuring certain things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think of sales specifically. Oh, that guy over there sells a bunch. He always hits his numbers. What does he do all day? I don't know. I just let him sell, right? So I don't know, but he always hits his numbers. Well, what numbers are he? Well, he's always hitting the numbers. It's like, well, what could the numbers be? What's the potential?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that when you start focusing too much on a goal, especially if it's a measurable goal, it's a benchmark, or it's a sales number, or it's a units per hour. When you start focusing too much on that goal, and then you start eliminating waste and things, who's to say that that goal is high enough to meet or exceed what is actually the potential? And I think that I kind of get criticized a lot for that thought, because a lot of people do want to come in and make the least amount of effort, to get what they need, and I just feel like, well, there's no fun in that, in my opinion.
No.
Like when we got the fire going, like, let's get more on it. Let's stay a couple hours and get more on it.
When the game is embraced and framed right, then everybody jumps in. Like, that's when you get full engagement, everybody thrown up. While you were talking, you actually got me to thinking about, there's, regardless of what sport you like, many of us can point to some athlete where we were like, gosh, if only that guy cared a little more.
Oh yeah.
Or had really like put themselves, taken it more seriously.
Yeah.
I wonder what they really could have done.
Yeah.
And they could be somebody that was a monster and did really good, maybe even great, but what could they have?
So it's about being sustained. It's a sustained way to level out your tasks, not burn out, only do what matters and don't detract from what matters. So as I have a lot to learn in this, I think where I have some skill is the things that don't connect. So I feel like I have a very good understanding of what actions connect to the goals of things and which ones are just completely unnecessary, And I think we all would say that we all have a good barometer of that, but I actually think I do. No, I actually think I do. Because like when someone's listing a bunch of project tasks and they're like, okay, this is what I want to get done. And they're very clear. This is what I want to get done. I'm thinking of doing this. Typically I can hear 2 or 3 things in there that I'm like, how does that connect in any way? Right? Like, how does that connect in any way? And sometimes it's, well, that task will help boost the motivation of this person to then do this. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess.
There's a saying that I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I hadn't heard the saying for a while. That to scale the unscalable. And for me, that generally means, having those human contacts, bringing, like when I was listening to a guy talk some time back, and I wasn't in the military or anything, but this guy made a comment. He said that there was this time when the drill sergeant came into the barracks, woke everybody up, and said, "We're going for a hike," right? Yeah. And one of the guys said, "How long?" Because he was trying to figure out which shoes to put on.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the drill sergeant said, "Get some shoes on," or just told him, "Hey, go, we're going to go until."
We're going to go until.
Right? And so, you might. So with respect to that, again, time is a factor in how you do things, because it's like a sprinter, like you were talking about an infinite game. Yeah. An infinite game has a very different parameter, a very different measurement of efficiency. It's like an investment. If you need that money to double between today and tomorrow, you're talking penny stocks, you're talking gambling. Yeah. If you need it to double over the next 5 years, S&P 500, you can be fairly general, fairly vague, for your money to roll around. And so as we've been talking, one of the things that I am looking forward to as I really reboot these conversations and this whole podcast is the compounding effect of me talking with you about efficiency, and then in 14 weeks I'm talking to somebody else about efficiency, and they're coming at it from a completely different industry or perspective or whatever, and how I'm going to be dragging in our conversation, because a lot of the time I'm going to do stuff like when I wind up in the situation where I'm going to have a conversation about efficiency in a couple of months. I'm going to listen to this conversation before I go to that. And so I'm going to intentionally drag some of this conversation into that. Mm-hmm. And then 14 weeks later, I'm going to drag both of these conversations into that.
Can we talk about efficiency a little bit more?
Yeah.
Because we got like 10 minutes.
Yes.
It's like, okay. I'm going back to what you first started with, where you said there's certain things that you just don't want to be efficient with.
Yes.
And I'm like, gosh, that makes total sense. It does.
Well, yeah, sex. But sex would be something that I'm not trying to.
No, I agree with what you're saying. And that's funny, but like, but I think that you're efficient with everything. That is the goal. You are efficient with your everything. You're efficient even with your life. You're just efficient. Yes. You can still be efficient. It may look different to what you're doing, right? Like the examples of stuff that you really like to do, the stuff that you don't want it to go fast. I mean, let's say you're spending time with your son and you're at a lake and you're skipping rocks and you're like, man, I bet you that I could get him to skip a rock better. Or how do I guess what I'm saying is that you don't want to eliminate the idea that you want everything you do to be efficient. You want to just understand that some things you put them through a different efficiency process. Is that fair?
Well, you're actually reminding me of that book, The Infinite Game, where the author talks about, when you go into the backyard and you play catch with your boy, there is no winning. You don't, like an infinite game, you don't win. And so, mm-hmm. and yeah, as we've been talking, I've been thinking, the thing that if you focus too much on efficiency,
right,
it sucks all the joy out of what you're doing.
Yeah,
if you don't have any standards for time to priorities, right, then how can you have any satisfaction at all?
You eliminate waste, you take away what doesn't matter to the cause, right? So the things that don't matter, you either want to do them very fast or get rid of them entirely. So I think about going on a camping trip. All right, when I go on a camping trip, to set up camp, I want to be efficient.
Yes,
I know I do.
That's the part that you want to be efficient.
I want it to be efficient.
I want to back in straight. I want to do it one time. I want to level this thing out.
Because why?
Yeah.
Because what I care about is being with my family, and they're waiting for me.
Yes.
At that point,
they're
waiting. They're like, "When's Dad done?" Okay, I'm gonna be efficient. Now, I may not. There might be elements in there where I want to bring, and there has been recently because he's 7 now. But I've been bringing him into that setup, and I've been like, "Hey, I'm gonna teach you how to level the trailer, right, or something." And so that is where I don't need to be super efficient. I'm showing him how to do it, and so now I'm not in a big hurry to be finished. See, so it just changes what do I care about? If there's a step that doesn't matter, let's say that in that leveling of the trailer, I want to share with my son that you need to watch out for pinch points so you don't hurt yourself or whatever. That's important. I won't try to be efficient when I tell him about that. I might even show him an example. I might linger on it. I might, because the goal is to let him understand that, right? So I might even linger on that. But then if there's a little speck of something, I'm not going to linger on that. I'm just going to wipe that away, even if he saw me or not, because in the training, let's say, it's not important if you have a little mark over here, you wipe it down. That's not important. So I guess where I'm going with this is there's certain things that you try to linger on, you try to not show, you try not to bring it to focus, to the spotlight, and those are the things that I think that the definition of eliminating waste and all that stuff makes sense. Isn't that cool?
Like, no. Yeah. Well, some of the things that you were putting your finger on and pointing at, it got me to thinking about when I worked at the garbage company. One of the things about a garbage man in the 90s that's different from a garbage man in 2026 is the focus on safety. Back then, these guys were kind of wild. They did whatever they wanted to. They got hurt too. And when I was working for the garbage company, it started out as one company that was purchased shortly after I showed up, and the company's focus moved dramatically toward safety, and it was always one of these things where some of it was just math, right? That a company that is safe, like when they would roll out the numbers and say, this is how much accidents cost. You need to
they'll accept a slower pace.
Oh man,
they would not have $1 million policy.
Yeah, they would accept a really slow pace,
incredibly slow.
If you're not getting hurt,
right?
And
it's a slow down to speed up mentality. You slow down to ultimately speed up. It's the rabbit and hare. I mean, really,
if you going fast 3 months in a row results in one accident,
right?
It wiped out everything that you. Right. It wiped out all of that. Right. That going fast.
Right.
I would have paid you an extra 2 hours per day.
Right, and it's not always,
to go.
But it's not always about the money either, because there's also company reputation, and there's also these other things. It's like nobody wants to be like the place people get hurt, for instance, and right. And so there's so much more, and they want to have we haven't had an accident for 1,000 days. The last thing they want to do is go up there and put it 1.
Yeah. Oh, dude. No, they had one of those.
But slow down and speed up is something I want to hit on, though. The slow down and speed up. If you know exactly what you're doing, and I think and you can't just ask yourself that and then answer yes. I mean, there's a lot more scrutiny that needs to be done. But like, if you know exactly what to do in the process, then aim for efficiency. I think that's what you try to do. If you know exactly what to do.
Oh, if you got like all your processes and stuff dialed in.
If you know exactly what the game is, you know how to play it, you're a master of it, right? You have people watching you, you have other people telling you things, but you've done it so many times that you know it like the back of your hand, then you should work on efficiency. If you're starting something from scratch, you're getting a machete and you're just going out there and you're starting to take hacks at stuff, efficiency, I think, is the last thing you should be thinking about, because you're not ready to be efficient. You shouldn't be efficient because the traits of efficiency are going to it's going to take away from you learning those things. It just is. It's going to take you away from learning. Can't say.
I think that efficiency, I think that there is a place for efficiency that actually creates enthusiasm, and that if you go too hard on it, it destroys enthusiasm. And
yes.
And I haven't had a conversation like this where I really sat down and thought about my own history and experience with efficiency, where and so as much as I'm looking at these and going, these are obvious ideas, I hadn't really been put into a spot where getting them into words happened. And so anyway, yeah, I think that that's probably what I pulled out of this conversation. Like there are those things that efficiency I don't care about.
Yeah.
Those aspects of my life, the human parts of my life, where I just don't care.
That's correct.
When my wife and I were on the Mississippi River on a paddle boat eating dinner, I wasn't trying to get it over with. I wasn't trying to. I enjoy taking a train ride because I've got no other place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even bother me when I lose cell reception.
No, I get it. The question is, does experiences need to be efficient?
Yeah. Well, it got me to really thinking about now as I'm traveling through my day today, for sure, I'm going to be thinking, do I want this to be efficient? Do I want to linger here? Like, is this something that, like, what's the balance for this?
I think that when you're on, let's say you're on a vacation, I think about camping because we go camping a lot. Mm-hmm. Same place, you'd never do that, but we do that. For me, efficiency when I camp is things like making sure I wake up early, you know, just because I don't want to sleep in because I want the experience, you know, kind of thing. So like, they're just different wastes. They're different things.
Yeah. That's funny. I think that my wife would still be happy to sleep in on vacation.
Even if that's missing out on a longer dinner or something fun when you're awake?
Even when we're on like a trip in another, like in New Orleans, New York, whatever, I think that, like for me, I'm like, I want to get up early still. I still want to get up early. But I enjoy getting up. Like, it isn't a matter of wasted day. It's that I actually enjoy the morning. I have to force myself to get up. I have to do stuff to get the blood pumping.
Can I say two things?
What's that?
I want to say two things before we stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, just
go ahead.
Two things that I just want to end.
I was sort of rambling.
No, it'll edit it. You weren't rambling. It'll edit it. Two things that were taught to me at one point. I hope I don't butcher them. One is when you run through a lean process, you take all the steps that you have to do in order to get something done. And it could be anything. You could just trace a workflow of anything. Who does what when in a work, swim lane and workflow. If there's multiple people, it's who and all that. When you write that out, now you take a look and you say, which one of these tasks is the customer not going to pay for?
Oh, that's interesting.
They're just not going to pay for it. So you look in there. It's actually a cool way to look at it because you sit there and you go, we powder coated it black. Well, I mean, the customer is going to pay for that. They want black powder coat. That's the value there. So then you take the powder coated process and you start breaking it down and you go, well, what do we do first? Well, we prep it over there and then we send it to this other subcontractor. And then we send it back, and shipping both ways and everything. And you think, oh, the customer's not going to pay for that. The customer doesn't care that you sent it to someplace, right?
I got it.
It has nothing to do with it.
It's not a value add.
It's not a value add. There you go. And so it's kind of fun to look through all the things you do and start taking out that because the customer's just not going to pay for it. And if you don't know, if you think, oh, no, the customer's going to pay, that's a value add, because a lot of people will. Internal people, they will look at that and go, oh, that's a value add. And then you go to a customer who actually bought it, and that's when you get the reality because they go, oh, no, I don't care about that at all. Even a feature that you might think, even a feature like, oh, we put it in a really pristine thing and we put a hand note in there and stuff. They may still go, yeah, I take that, I toss it. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So we have to really be, and you can't ask one customer because one customer might be like, oh, no, I like that.
Sure.
Yeah, right. You have to ask a bunch of customers. Yeah. That's one, okay? And maybe you have something there, but I'm going to forget the other one. The other one is I had a really great team member that I worked with who came in with a ton of knowledge about lean manufacturing and process improvements and things. And I just really enjoyed the mentorship that he gave me a couple years ago. And he always said this. And it wasn't his saying, but he always said all the things. He always reminded us, the really good mentors you repeated over and over. Every time we'd be anywhere in a talking or meeting or discussing a thing, he'd always say, let's make it as simple as possible, but not too simple.
Yeah.
And what that really means is that you don't want it to be any more complex than necessary, but you can simplify it too much. Mm-hmm. If it needs 3 buttons, if it needs an A and a B and a C button, try it with an A and B button. If A and B, but C is just a combination of both, that could work. But if you have to train a bunch of people and it's an emergency situation, then A, B, and C buttons, on the elevator are necessary. You know what I mean? So make it as simple as possible, but not too simple. I love that. I love that mindset or whatever you want to call it.
Anyway,
I heard with a guy say with copywriting, he was saying, take your sentence and start removing words until it doesn't make sense. And as soon as it doesn't make sense, you can't read it and understand what the sentence was trying to say. Start adding words back in, and as soon as it makes sense, then you've hit your bare minimum. But I mean, you're going to be going back to what's your real goal? Are you writing a poem? Like a poem's not about efficiency.
Right.
All right, man.
Cool,
hey, thanks
huh?
for coming by.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'll get this thing all edited.